Okay, they're still driving by. Today is April 14th, 22. I was in Save-A-Lot on Whipple. Okay, they were following me, harassing me like crazy today. Okay, I was in there at 1:57 p.m. Okay, while I yelled at them. Okay, and I yelled at them. My car's bugged from Will's protective life case, and they sold the lock-in. So I yelled at them. Okay, flat out yelled at them in my car. The windows up, they can hear me. Went through, I said, I'm not going to go through the attempted kidnapping, attempted carjacking, being the same guy, da 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 da. Okay. I said, we'll start right about, right when the girl pretended to be me, cost me that job. And where I didn't hang up the phone and overhearing that girl say the churches were involved because of that one kid got killed in 2003 in a traffic accident I had nothing to do with. His father-in-law ran a stop sign, but that minister told everybody I was faking I was sick, and I was really sick, and I have documents. Okay, it's that sick. And he played with everybody, where the guy lost it at the funeral, and he even blasphemed God 8 years later from the pulpit that how much he hated him for taking the thing I loved the most. He's a millionaire, and he's mental. And he played with everybody that was hurting poor Ron while he was grieving. It was months later, I got, well, nothing to do with nothing. He's just sick. And manipulating people. Okay? And then Dave, and that they had took up $25,000 to have me murdered. Okay? And then Dave held me down how he hired a man to slit my throat, stab me in the heart, and have a man shoot me if I ran. Okay? Well, I'd went fetal, baby girl fetal, 100% baby girl fetal. I got enough nerve to go to Giant Eagle. David called me, where are you at? And I said, I'm buying something for dinner. I got a phone call to make. He doesn't call me back. Okay, and I get my groceries and I see they're giving flu shots, and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and get it while I'm here. And I got dizzy and I sat down on the bench, and I hear a voice, I can't believe she's here. So I go to walk off right by the ATM. He comes up behind me, I stab you right here now for the security guard. I freeze for like a second, and then I walk right over to the bank out in front of somebody. I like to open it down. Okay. And then the crazy Pizza Hut blonde waitress, I get paid to watch her. Banker's yelling at her, and she's laying her head down on the desk. You can't see her on monitor. That guy that tried to kidnap me, carjack me, just threatened to knife me, walks out around me, and she walks off. So either Dave called someone to call him, or she called him. It's that simple. They could get him if they want. Okay. Well, I went home and went fetal. I finally got enough nerve to go down to Walmart. An African American girl spit in my face, and her white boyfriend were harassing me, and that animal came up to me and just, what a shame, stared at me with no light in his eyes. Okay, I went home and went baby girl fetal. Sarah at Case Jewelers was telling me that this one girl in his church, Katie, was leaving threats in the mall. They had a permanent plan to do away with me. She was scared for me. Well, Dave came up to me, my girlfriend's rich and powerful, her family owns the police. I wouldn't be able to withstand. I told him it's not a communist country. Nobody owns the police. And I'm thinking, God, he's got connections. While they're churches, they're threatening my life, I'll call the FBI. Okay. So I called the hotline. It took a couple days for the Canton office to call me back. Agent named Will called me and left his number. I was still baby girl fetal. Now, I had bruises the size of oranges and grapefruits on my legs, and I couldn't figure out how I was getting banged up, and I even had fingerprints in my arms. And I thought, what did I do? Squeeze myself, and they didn't match up. And at times, I was really getting sick to my stomach, and it's not like me. And so I called Sarah. And well, the third day I got up and I mowed the lawn, and I thought I gotta get some air in my face. I gotta think. And I called Sarah. I'm like, Sarah, will you witness for me if I call someone? Okay. She said, yes, Karen, I'm scared for you. So I bought her card. I had Will's number in it, and I took it out to the mall. Okay. We went on to Apostolic Church of Barberton. There is a man that looks like that guy from the cooking show. Paul Pamer, the minister there, gets in my ex-husband's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. There's like 7,500 people there. I walk off, and that guy's staring at me, and I sit in the sanctuary. He comes in and went, let's go. We get in the vehicle. He's like, you called the FBI on me? I said, what'd you expect? They're threatening my life, and you are. And he's like, you're lucky I don't take care of you myself. Okay? And he threatens me, and there's a loaded gun between the council that he keeps. I went to put my arm in it so I couldn't open it. He knocked it off. He said, you're lucky I don't take care of you myself. Okay? Well, I had to wait for him to go to work in the morning. And I'm crying, and I can't think. And I know my marriage is over. All the attempts were them, and I was too stupid to put it together. And so I know I have to call him. I've been married 33 years, and I actually love my ex-husband with all my heart, and with every breath he took. It's why I couldn't wrap my mind around he would do it, you know? And it was him. And when I called, I was crying. My head was spinning. Do you know the only thing that I could remember to tell that agent was, what a shame? And he's like, well, I can't help you unless you have a witness. I said, well, God, Sarah, I've already talked to her. She's ready to talk to you. Well, I even forgot to tell him there's a duplex on the other side of my house. There was an old lady towards my house, and there was men staying on the outside. They had a copy of my phone, and they were mocking me. I forgot to tell him about the attempted carjacking, attempted kidnapping, that they could find him at Huntington Bank. I forgot to tell him that he made a mistake at Perry Township, that they knew where with the police there, that they knew where the security system was. The follower rounding, that it was the minister's great niece's Facebook friend. I forgot everything because they were talking me up. That's not my fault. That's theirs. That's theirs. And it's the agent's fault for not finding out. Okay? When you're being victimized greatly, it's not your fault. Okay? This is his. I was in Save-A-Lot today. It is April 14th, 22. But I say about 1:53, I check out. Go a few minutes before. Some women come in and said, none of this is funny. They had some guy go up and pretend he was FBI before she called that agent back. So she admitted she called the FBI. So they wouldn't help her. That they even had kids go, they had people go down and say they were kids to the FBI office bad-mouthing her. And we checked with her kids, and it wasn't them. And I'm thinking, shut up. They said, that's how not funny this is. Okay. It came out that where we found our door knocked in, they set up, broke our door in. When we first moved in, within the first 10 days, they set up illegal surveillance. It's not admissible to Department of Justice. They can't look or listen. They have to arrest them. Okay? It's illegal search and seizure. Police and FBI and nobody, you can't get a court order to be in somebody's house. And like the lady said, January of 22, this last year, Circle K, Fulton Road, gas station, first thing in the morning. We made a big mistake being in her home. Yes, they did. And she didn't see a drug confession of saying I did anything wrong. And the people that were harassing me, a lot of them left. She didn't see a drug confession where I had bruises. Okay? That's how many times they're altered. Okay? I've had people, and I can give you a list, from ratting out Dave, the church people, to admitting personally themselves. They drugged me and told me to say stuff. Okay? Where I had bruises. And they were using amnesia drugs on me. They lied. They had sodium benadryl reports. There's no such thing. They lied. They had a court order to be in my house. There's no such thing. Even the local police said there's not. It comes down to no matter what, no one's allowed in your house except for those protective life cases. That you have to have Miranda rights, a witness. You have to ask for help. And the other person has to be spoke to. We will set it up. Okay? Now, someone said, Will did little with this case and left it on his desk. Gross negligence is an understatement. And not looking into it that my ex was dating a retired judge's daughter, and the undercover police were breaking and framing me. Okay? And even an idiot in my neighborhood on March 24th, 22 at 1:30, the second building for mine. It's red and there's outside steps. Some old guy was yelling at him. You framed her before? Yeah, I framed her before. Shame on you. He said, I know, I regret it. I found out those people even raped her. You should. He's yelling at him. Amy, my one neighbor, she's like, I heard all that in my apartment. Other neighbors are coming out bitching. We all heard that idiot admit to frame her while the police were driving by. They heard him too. And so did everybody with the login. And I told you about at Oakland Apartments, in Canton, maintenance man. They told him December 9th, 21 at 4 p.m. that all the tapes before were them, not me. It's just a bunch of men doing crimes here. Okay? And I had security guards at one point because I was almost murdered. One of them was at the Starr County Hunger Task Force. He was a white guy, bald, dark eyes, came out. And he went back and told all those people, we always knew the tapes before were them, not her, so we never said a word. He told 2 investigators by January 3rd of 22, and it's some guy named Eric trying to help him get away with this. Okay, they don't know who he is yet. And Ed told the Canton police, and the guy who works with him. I was in Shine last month, hair salon, get my hair done. And they already knew I'd been raped and everything else because they had people in there saying they were watching me because I'd been raped, and they admitted it was an agent with a stalker, but it was an officer with a stalker. 8/18/21, 4:42 p.m. at the register. Okay. Someone was in there talking. We could never look or listen to these people's tapes. We want to know their involvement. And I go to use the bathroom, and the lady doing my hair, they said that they realized everything was photoshopped. It is. Okay. Now, they're so crazy. I have never been talked to or accused legally of any wrongdoing. I have never had the Miranda rights of wrongdoing. I have never been prosecuted or found guilty. The FBI can't even be in drug lords' homes. Fourth Amendment. It's a legal search and seizure. It's a right to privacy. Actually, the law states for every civil right broke, which the right to privacy, right to remain quiet, right to legal representation, right to a fair court trial, bail, and bond. It's 1 to 10 years without the drugs and kidnapping and the attempted extortion. And illegal surveillance is illegal search and seizure and is punishable by 5 years. The real law states that if attorneys tape you unaware in your house, they lose their license, go to jail, and they have to compensate you. The real law is no coerced confession is admissible. The real law is under surveillance, that even police and other agencies can only be in there to protect a life in their home, in that home. Failure to notify is abuse and misconduct. And speaking to the other people living in that home with that threat, or it's abuse and misconduct. Failure to protect is the same. Okay? And then it goes into the right to privacy. It's not admissible. And it's a legal search and seizure and punishment. Okay? Now, if they're honestly saying, and those ladies, if they did the Canton office, how would my kids know I called the FBI? Seriously? And why would he ask me to stay quiet when they investigate? I don't think they know, because if they know, that would make them an accessory to drugs, framing, and attempted murder with extortion. The guy saying he left me on his desk and did little with the case, I believe that one. But I do believe they had that guy go up there and pretend he was FBI to get me to admit that I called him. But I hadn't called Will back. And it's Will's fault for not finding out. It's his gross negligence. Because if he would have known about illegal surveillance, by federal law, he would have had to arrest him. You know, I was thinking today too, June of 19, I worked at Liberty House Share on Hills and Dales Road, North Canton. Now, it's either the North Canton or Jackson police working security because I had almost been murdered. One of the officers from Ravenna were in the back talking to everyone. Looked at me and said, honey, the worst thing you ever did wrong is you've been over it probably. We wiped that one. I laughed. I'm like, what? And then I'm thinking, when I've been over it probably. Oh, Grandma, what's on the back of your legs? And I'm like, oh, I was fixing a DVD player. Years ago. I was video chatting with Dave. And I said, varicose veins are right behind my knees. And I said, I got them when I had your daddy. Here, old pal boy, get changed. Well, that's where they caught Melissa, my ex-daughter-in-law, lying. All the police know they lied. Okay? She was friends with Auntie Shao, Judge Pete's daughter. And the comment was, Melissa's so stupid, she made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually not stupid. She didn't check where you were. Her first lie is, they picked out a nightgown I didn't know, and they said they seen my butt a long time ago, about 7-8 years ago, and nobody said anything. Yeah, right. Well, I had Dave, just even though they said they already caught him lying, that was their lie. I said, Dave, I had this big tent nightgown that goes down to my knees. And I always wore it when the grandkids were over with that underwear and a house coat, or leggings, sweater, and a house coat. So I said, hey, Dave, I always wear that, right? When the kids are over. Oh, yeah. And I said, I replaced all those nightgowns. Last year, I let the tent one in a couple laces. I gained and lost a lot of weight in between. They didn't fit. He's like, I know you did. Just to cover bases. Okay? I even had him admit we were on the phone all day and nothing bad happened that day. They left happy and you knew it. The second lie is that they came upstairs. This is, I think, supposed to have been on the 4th. The way they were talking. Her second lie is they came upstairs, they looked into a cracked bathroom door, and you're being weird with yourself. And I'm like, ew. I'm not weird with myself. So what I did is I'm like, hey, Dave, on the 4th when they were late and they took 2 bites out of the table and other food at the table and they ran to the basement and didn't come upstairs. And Jen and I walked outside and drank water while you and John and Noah and were playing ball. And Gabe's on the lawnmower. We walked back inside to get dessert, or because it got too hot, and they left through the basement without saying goodbye. He's like, yeah, I know. So I got Jen tape too. So the police, just to cover bases. They're lied, they'll make up something and call you a bad word. Well, in between that, they said oh, you'll like this one. They said that they told me that I broke in a home. They tied my arms and legs to a chair and knocked it over, kicked it over, and jumped out a window. I'm like, dear God, I'm in my 50s. I'm supposed to shot up a home and killed someone. That's Dave. I was supposed to have been racist. I'm not racist. Oh my God. What was the other one? Oh, I was supposed to vandalize their church. And it took me till October 23rd, 2019, when Flora, my 7-year-old granddaughter, stated the mean game of pretend. Of course it never happened. Of course it wasn't true. We made it up. Just like they said, make up something, call you a bad word. Well, it was already documented me games of pretend. Fucking shit my family should be ashamed of. I swear like the men that used to watch me. The ones they hired for security guards, they swore as sailors at these people. Okay? And then all the people knowing they lied, the police departments, and that I never hurt anybody, and yeah. And then Mercy Medical, March 13, 21, I was mistreated at Altman. So I went over to Mercy Medical. A lady came in, and one of Will's promises was no man had ever touched me that's legally or harmfully ever again in my life. Okay? So they come in and said no man was ever to touch her. Nurse comes in laughing. The only thing they had you on was adjusting yourself. And the guy said, that's sick. And so I went to leave. She said, no, it's funny. She just wiped some water off her clothes. That's it. And I'm like, what on earth? And I'm ready. You didn't expose yourself. You're good. And then marks are running around. We know what they were trying to say. That wouldn't work. Well, March 2nd to the 3rd, 21, my car's between 8 and 10:30. They said they were going to put 2 clips together and put me in a porn. It wasn't me. It was them. Well, that's where the guy admitted framing me, and they kept saying things that didn't happen. And I'm like, somebody else's buddy, right? Made my stomach bleed. And I'm like, the only time I touch myself like that is showering. I go outside, my car's bugged. If I'm in there or not. She figured out what they did. Showers and wash. In another room, photoshopping. They told John everything was Photoshop. They told Ed, drugged in Photoshop. He told the Camp police. Yeah. See, Will better never have known a damn thing about illegal surveillance. He better never have known about the judge's daughter. He better never have known about anything besides gross negligence, and that someone pretended to be FBI to get Dave to yell at me before I call him back, and for them to use amnesia drugs so I can't think straight to tell him that somebody already told on me. Yeah. You don't want to say he's part of a drug kidnapping extortion group, and he's a federal investigator. For a judge's daughter. They even said Michelle was one of the agent's daughters. And they told, because I had called the FBI, they walked around Walmart where agents from the agency stationed in the courthouse. The case from the agency is called Karen's Will. Okay? And they even told Altman Hospital and framed him for the chip. Tape and audio, March 13, 21, 2:53 p.m. Do some research. and that the agency did it. It's them. Kidnapping, drugs, extortion, rape, torture. Cops involved selling of a real protective life case. Supposed to be in protected custody from the police. Right? Yeah. So heinous crimes, life in federal prison if somebody would do their job. I never had to stay quiet one moment. And you can't tell me that Will knew that guy went to Pam or pretending. Because if so, he was purposely setting me up. So not one day he would ever have to help me. Because they already had Dave yelling at me, you called the FBI on me, and what do you expect? And then having them drug me with amnesia drugs, so my head is spin. And so I couldn't remember to tell him. You don't want to say he was part of any of that. Not a damn bit. Attempted murder for extortion? And drugs and kidnapping? I have like the stupidest criminals around me. People call them bastards. Okay? See, I'll tell you what, there is some officers or investigators been working the case on and off. Okay? Every once in a while, one of the guys that used to be my security guards will show up and just walk around the store. Okay? Where I used to have groups. Or with their families. Because they're good people. Okay? November 29th, 21, FedEx, first thing in the morning in Belden Village. He came in and said, we had already asked your family about you wiping off water with clothes on it. And nobody thought anything of it. My kid would have said something. Or cop would, like they said, it was just adjusting yourself. Okay? And it was them, not me. And like the guy said, he framed me. Put clips together. But I don't put his name on it. People admitting they drugged me and told me say stuff in stores. They're telling the police and everything down here. And they won't shut their mouths. Okay? I have never been questioned. They even said somewhere guy Chris off in the dark. No man talked to her. No, he used to see her mother instead. A lethal outlaw drug, you say yes to anything. It's attempted murder. You can't break in a roofie drinks and you can't stab somebody in their sleep to get them to say something stupid so they wouldn't remember. And you can't illegal surveillance them either. You can't be in their home no matter what, but the protective life case, or it's 5 years, and like Officer Ryan or we could never listen, no one's ever allowed in your home but them. And it has to have those stipulations where it's thrown out. That's where that heavyset cop showed up at Walmart. Within a few days of talking to Will, I asked Steve about those people threatening her. He better not put his hands on her. He made a public statement by the food counter that he'd already went and talked to Steve about people threatening me. Until he talked to him, nobody could watch me. Okay? Now, I've never admitted to wrongdoing. Well, beat rape torture, which the CIA needs to think about waterboarding people, because I'll tell you what, when they were raping and smothering me, I finally said yes to anything before I passed out. They ever think they say yes to anything so they could breathe? I did. And I don't even remember. Say this. Yeah, no. And I think they ought to make Will sit and watch it. I think they need to make him watch 12, 21, 18, and every time those bastards stab me in the neck and stab me in my legs, I think that they ought to make him watch what he let me in. Maybe they won't find it so funny. See, these people think it's funny because they're Saint possessed. Because, some lady, October 19th of 21, outside Walmart in the afternoon, she's like, the murderous hyenas. They're murderers. That's what's wrong. They're murderers. Who thinks it's funny raping people? Who thinks it's funny drugging them up and telling them to say something stupid? Who thinks it's funny stabbing people in the neck and kidnapping them? Who thinks it's funny raping a victim and publicly humiliating them? Murderers do. Nobody else does. Murderers do. People call them bastards, and nobody will stop them. So you know what that's going to create? Another victim. Out of negligence. I've never been questioned or prosecuted. And I've never admitted to wrongdoing or been questioned on it. You know, to cover all bases. I went over everything with Max. I've never hurt anybody. He's like, I know. He said, you've always been good to the kids. You've always been good to the grandkids. He even said at one point it'd be pretty rotten if she said something. I taped him. Do you know they interviewed my whole family in 18? They spoke highly of me. They announced it in Walmart several times, including June 23rd to July 4th of 21 by the paint aisle. What are these people talking about? She never hurt anybody. And then by the paint aisle? Oh my goodness, the boys had to drug her to make her say that stuff. Nobody mentions those tapes. The boys in the corner. They already announced in Walmart 62 they were using sodium pentothal on me and other places. This is public knowledge. They sold a real protective life case. It's illegal for the police to even give out names, addresses, and information on case. Like they told Ed, it's just a bunch of men doing crimes down here to see if someone will actually stop them. They said the guy at the task force told them the same thing. They already knew that. It's just criminals down here. Yeah, I never had to stay quiet, and you don't ever want to say Will knew they had that guy go pretend so David yelled at me, and then they drug me up so I wouldn't remember when I called him, so he wouldn't have to help me. You don't want to say he set me up, because why would you ask me to stay quiet? Why you investigate when you know I was already told on? You wouldn't. I think it's gross negligence of thinking it was just a stalker. And put me in protective life custody. It's culture evil. I have one track fit ticket from 89. Listed her informant, no one will ever touch her again in her life. The cops used to even tease me. Will gave Karen no wrongdoing in life because she wasn't abusive. They're driving by. Sorry. No, I've never been court. Yeah. And I can give you a list, time and dates. Like the lady in January of 22 this year, Circle K gas station, Fulton Road, in the morning. We made a big mistake being in her role. She's never said she did anything wrong before. And when people found out that she didn't see a drug conviction, a bunch of people left. And then when I got the cars, I started rambling how they put the clips together, who all knew it. A lot more people left. And then they sent it to more people, causing more and more hate crimes. Because out of sheer ignorance, they're participating where they sell the login to the case. Now I got rid of a lot of them today. I told them, I said, if you got behavior problems, the state of Ohio will get you a caretaker. So when you go out in public, you'll learn how to act right, and they'll tell you, don't act like that. It's not appropriate. I said, the state of Ohio is real good about if you're special and you can't act right and you have behavior problems, they'll get you a caretaker like me. Then I'll make sure they act right in public. Nice and sweetly. Don't do that. Don't say that about people. It's not nice. Be that way they keep law and order. Well, a lot of them left. You need to think about what they're doing. And would they think it's funny? This happening to them. And they better not say, Will and the cat and FBI knew anything. Because they framed the FBI. They pretended they were FBI. Yeah. And they have put Will's blame. I fell for it. I thought, why is the agency being mean? And then they're saying Michelle was the agent's daughter. And I'm like, oh my God. It wasn't. They were lying. It was the judge's daughter. But I talked to the FBI somewhere one. I think it was failure to protect is abuse and misconduct, and I never had to stay quiet because they changed the rules when they told on me the night before. You know, stay quiet while they investigate when the bad guys already know before you call someone back. It's already wiped out. Mm-hmm. It's already wiped out. They did that. It's a bitch move. A lot of bitch moves. But why would you say quiet if they already know? You know. Gotcha. And then they sold the login by Christmas of 18 for regular people to have it. And they made millions at my expense. And this is public knowledge. I went to Even Citizens Bank on West Dusk. Not the last time, the time before, where the police call it carrying around the house. Okay? Because I'm supposed to be in protective light custody from them. And that's the one they sold. The login to the dirty cops in Ravenna. Two old ladies went, look, it's carrying around the house. They sold it everywhere. Made millions at my expense. It's public knowledge. Someone needs to help. And if they don't want to help, they need to get somebody else down here that will actually want a big bunch of criminals that will drug, rape, illegal surveillance, Photoshop, extort money, kidnap people. You want it like the Stark County Sheriff said. It's a big case. It's odd, but it's big. And you know what? Like they said last year, these people are admitting to heinous crimes. These people are admitting to kidnapping her. They are. And framing too. And it's public knowledge, like everybody said. We already know she was drugged and told to say it before, and we all know she was framed before. Yeah, because I was never weird with myself. And yeah. And I've never been questioned. Never prosecuted.